Hello, hello. Good afternoon, friends. This is Owen Fernandez, and a warm welcome to yet another episode of Tea Talks with Owen. Apologies, I had some technical issues, and I'm not very sure if I still do have. So, if there is anybody in the chat, would they be so kind enough to let me know if my microphone and my audio output is working fine? Wonderful. Thank you so much, Peter. Okay. He says that it's good. Friends, as I said, we didn't start well, but definitely I can assure you that we are going to end well. Okay, so today our topic is fear, something that all of us can relate, especially in COVID times like this. Now, the word fear requires a little bit of an explanation because there are various kinds of fear. And for those who know my occupation, I'm not going to talk about the physical part of fear, which can arise because of something that causes physical harm, or it is dangerous, or in fact, it could it could create some sort of an uncertainty and could even cause a threat to your life. I'm not going to talk about that fear. I'm going to talk about the fear that we all carry in our minds. Yes, the fear that we all carry in our minds. So, as I delve into it, so let me start by asking you a few questions. The first question goes like this: Is it possible to live without fear? So, let me know if I'm engaging my audience the third time today. And again, I say apologies. So, is it possible to live without fear? Is there somebody in the chat that can engage with me? Is it possible to live without fear? The second question is: Can you name some fears that you are aware of? Can you name some fears that you are aware of? And the third question that can open up this particular talk session is: Can you overcome your fears? Can you overcome your fears? Take a self inventory of what we know about fear. As I mentioned in the first aborted call, the dictionary version of fear talks about an unpleasant emotion. That's the noun part of it. The verb part of it talks about being afraid. And of course, there is the phobia in an anxiety disorder, that basically talks about an excessive, unrealistic fear that most of us go through. Peter says fear of failure. Wonderful. So let's go a little bit deep into this topic, wherein which I'm going to focus about the fear that we always carry with us wherever we go. And it may not necessarily be surfacing as a form of a physical threat. So, here I'm going to talk about that fears are states of mind. It all starts in the mind with our thoughts and then gets converted itself into emotions and then reflects outwardly into our actions or our behavior. Now, friends, one thing I know is this: nature has endowed human beings with absolute control over one thing, and that one thing is our thoughts. Yes, our thoughts. Your state of mind is subject to only you and your control and direction. Thoughts are energies. So, fear is a form of energy. And one thing about energy is that it is never created or destroyed. So, going back to the first question, is that there will always be fear at any point of time. Some are visible, some are invisible. So, there is nothing that you can get rid of fear because it is never created nor destroyed. It is always there. Limitations, my friends, are mental and self imposed. So this fear doesn't just go away. We need to tackle it, we need to get hold of it. Peter says fear of failure, fear of sickness, fear of death is one of the basic fears. You're absolutely true. And you will see that as my presentation unfolds. So this fear doesn't go away. It's a cause of worry. And many of them say that worry is the sister of fear. So as I'm going to basically tackle this subject about fear, I want you to know that my mentor Paul Martinelli took us on three journeys, not even one, three journeys, of which I was a part of it. And it was so beautifully captured about the whole aspect of fear as written in the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now, this is a marvelous piece of work by Napoleon Hill in the early 1920s. And according to me, there is no person living right now on this planet who understands and is able to explain the various phenomena that Napoleon Hill wrote decades ago. Now, this is a part of one of the last chapters, which goes by the title of The Six Ghosts of Fear. Now, our three greatest enemies, my friends, are indecision, doubt, and fear. Now, Napoleon Hill says that our sixth sense, the intuition that we carry, will never function while these three negatives, or in fact, any one of them, remain in our minds. He calls this the unholy trio. He says that the members of this unholy trio are closely related to each other. Where one is found, the other two are close at hand. Indecision, he says, is the seedling of fear, which then crystallizes into doubt. And when these two, the indecision and doubt, blend together, you have fear. And the blending process is often too slow, and that is why it makes it so dangerous. These three, they germinate and grow without their presence being observed. So most of the time, when you express certain fears, you do not know from where is it coming until and unless you take a, an intentional inspection and find out the root cause of it. So I'm indebted to the teachings of Paul Martinelli, my mentor in the John Maxwell team, as well as my mentor in the Empowerment Living, wherein which I am also a member there. So he talks about the six ghosts of fear. And let's take a look at it. The fear of poverty. Now, here I'm not just talking about financial lack, I'm talking about lack in general. It comes from a scarcity mindset. The second one is the fear of criticism. The third one, it's the fear of ill health. The fourth one, the fear of loss of love. The fifth one, the fear of old age. And the sixth one, the fear of death. Friends, at one time or the other, every person suffers from some combination of these fears. Now, most people are fortunate not to suffer from all the six at the same time. It would be catastrophic. It would be very difficult to live. Napoleon Hill says that all other fears are of minor importance and are, in fact, just variations of these six. So, if you're hearing to my voice and if you're hearing live or if you're seeing live to this episode, would you be so kind enough and let me know which of those six fears that you are currently attached to, or these fears have got a strong hold of you, please use the chat box. Which ones could you identify with? Analyze yourself carefully and determine which, if any, of the six are attached to you. The fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, the fear of loss of love, the fear of old age, and finally, the fear of death. Now, let's check what these fears do. In fact, the fear of poverty, according to Napoleon Hill, says it's the most destructive of all fears. Now, again, I'm talking about the fear of poverty is not necessarily reflected in the financial situation or your state of living. As I said, the fear that I'm talking about is a state or states of mind, and it all comes with a scarcity mindset. I can't because I don't have. I'm not able because I don't have. It's the most destructive fear which is sufficient to destroy your chances of achievement in any undertaking. Going further, the fear of criticism, it destroys initiative. Here you say, I'm not doing it because what will they think? Now, who are they? It's initiative and it discourages imagination. So, parents, be very careful of how you speak to your children, because if they suffer the fear of criticism, their creativity and then their imagination basically takes a back seat. Then the fear of ill health. A very recognized and reputed doctor once said that 75% of his patients suffer from something called hypochondria, which is an imaginary illness. At the very first sign of discomfort, they think that they are sick and they rush to the doctor for the doctor's opinion. Fear of ill health. Then there is the fear of loss of love, which is considered to be quite painful. It is concerning the fear of losing someone in a relationship, the fear of loss of love. The fifth one is the fear of old age, which caters to the fact that people, when they get old, they fear loss of physical and economic freedom. In fact, some people fear loss of independence itself. And finally, fear of death. Now, to some, it is extremely cruel. Now, fear of death could either be triggered because of your religious beliefs or because of what you think is lying after death. It could be resulting in some sort of fear concerning eternal punishment. So, there you have six ghosts of fear. And let me know if any of these fears relate to you or relate to your loved ones, or at some point of time in your life, you went through these fears. Now, Paul Martinelli, as I said, my mentor, and in fact, he was voted number one coach in the world by Global Gurus in 2018. He says that when fear enters into our mind, our logic leaves. When fear enters into our mind, our logic leaves. So the question here is, how do you face these fears? Going back to the same book, and for those who want to know, this book is right on my desk at any given point of time. I use this in my free time if I've got a 15-minute break between coaching sessions, or if I have a 20-minute or a half an hour lunch break. I make it a point to read maybe one or two paragraphs, and suddenly it gives me a total new dimension on life itself. So, how do you face these fears? Napoleon Hill says that before we can master an enemy, which I believe fear is an enemy, we must know its name, its habits, and its place of abode. It is only then can we equip all the things that we have or even ask for help in order to fight this enemy called fear. It's easy to flee, but fleeing, as I said, will not take you anywhere. You might get distracted, okay, but the fear in the mind is still existing and it can surface at any given point of time. So let's see how exactly could you face these fears? And the answer is lies in its simplicity. He says that there is only one known antidote for these germs, and it is the habit of taking a prompt and firm decision. Now, the root cause of all the fears that people carry, conscious or unconsciously, is their inability to make a decision and tackle those fears. So, as I said, indecision, doubt, and fears are the three biggest challenges any human being can face when it comes to achievement, when it comes to fulfillment, when it comes to performance. Now, here you have to understand that when you're talking about decision, there could be an amount of risk. But as you and I know, risk brings out certain things that we do not know until and unless we take it. And also, there is a possibility that one can get away with risk and in the process learn. Through indecisions, these six basic fears become translated into a state of worry. So, as I said, there were six ghosts of fear that he mentions in his book, Think and Grow Rich. So, let's tackle them from six right up to number one. So, here you go. How do you handle the fear of death? How do you handle the fear of death? You and I know that we are going to die at some point of time. So, the best way is to make your mind prepared, make a decision to accept death as an inescapable event. So, when you know it's going to happen, why fear? And even if you would like to protect not dying, it's never going to happen. That's how we are. The law of polarity says that when there is birth, there is also death. So, how do you overcome? How do you face the fear of death? Make a decision to accept death as an inescapable event. The fear of old age. Now, I know that I am also aging. I'm no longer young. So, there could be people who have the fear of old age. Now, how do you face this? Here, you need to fine tune your mind, make a decision to accept it not as a handicap, but in fact, a great blessing. A blessing that carries with it wisdom, knowledge, experience, understanding that you can freely give to generations that follow you. Make a decision to accept it not as an handicap, but as a great blessing. Number four, the fear of loss of love. Now, here you need to understand that Buddha once said, and it's so very true, that attachment is the root cause of all suffering. So, how do you fear? How do you face the fear of loss of love? in a relationship, whether it is a man and a woman, or whether it is a parent and a child, or for that matter, in today's world, any kind of relationship, the fear of loss of love, make a decision to get along without attachment if necessary. So, just in case, if you do lose love, hold good memories and forget and forgive the not so good ones. Release it, let it go, and that's how you will overcome the fear of loss of love. The fear of ill health. Last evening, I had a problem with my knee, and I was in a terrible pain. In fact, I had to take painkillers. And this morning, I tried to connect and find if there was an orthoped available to see me at short notice. And I'm sorry to say that I wasn't successful. But the moment I came to the office and started preparing this particular presentation for you, somehow I couldn't feel the pain. Why? Because my focus was diverted somewhere else. So, when you want to overcome the fear of ill health, what do? Make a decision to forget focusing on the symptoms. Because, as I said before in one of my episodes, whatever you focus on expands. So, if you focus on the fact that you are having health challenges, it will intimidate you and make you more fearful. The fear of criticism. How do you handle this? How do you face these fears? The fear of criticism can be handled by making a decision not to worry about what other people think, do, or say. They're not going to live your life. I've experienced this myself. People have said, "Hey, Owen, why do you do the things that you do? Does it help?" But I still do it because I believe that whoever is watching this episode or these episodes, and if I'm able to touch the soul or the life of one person, at least I have made some difference in this world as compared to those people that haven't even tried. There will be plenty of naysayers, and especially those that who have never tried anything worthwhile in their lives. So, to overcome the fear of criticism, make a decision not to worry about what other people think, do, or say. Ask yourself, do you want to do it? Check why are you doing it? And then just simply do your level best. You can't do more than you can. Or, in other words, all you've got to do is that show up, and half the battle is won for you. The fear of criticism, make a decision not to worry about what other people think, do, or say. And finally, the fear of poverty, which I called the fear of a scarcity mindset. Now, how do you handle this? Again, the power is in its simplicity. Sorry. Make a decision to have an abundance mindset. Everything that you ever needed is available. All you've got to do is to reach out and make the most of the present and be grateful for all the things you have in the present. Get along with whatever wealth you can accumulate without worry. And finally, friends, this is something which is very close to me. Fight fear with faith. And as a believer, the Bible says, fear not 365 times. Fear not, one for each and every day of the year. Be courageous. Take some risks. fail forward. You will learn along the way. As somebody rightly said, when fear knocks at the door, let faith answer. And when faith answers that knock, I'm sure fear wouldn't be there at the door. Here it is very important to understand that when you are suffering from fears, the vibrations of fear pass from one mind to the other just as quickly as the sound waves pass from the broadcasting station to a radio receiver. So it could be contagious. So, as I said, when you have fear, you send in the vibrations, and the vibrations could be caught by some of your loved ones, and they too will catch the fear. So, fight fear with faith. So, in summary, fears are states of mind. Fears will be there, and states of mind cannot be purchased, it has to be created. As I said before, nature has endowed human beings with absolute control over one thing, and that one thing is your thoughts. Be courageous, take some risk, fight fear with faith. Learn to make decision irrespective of whatever you think, because a lack of decision making itself shows that you are fearful. And finally, I end up this session with a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson, who said that do the thing you fear. I repeat, do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. Do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. Thanks for watching this video. Thanks for being with me on this episode. As I said, there were a little technical challenges, but it is fine. I still showed up and I still was able to overcome the fear. I hope you understand. We'll just get better with each and every episode. So if you like this episode, please share it with others and please subscribe to our YouTube channel where you will find this video as well as many other videos. Take care and see you soon. Remember, the win is always within you. I'm here to help you be victorious. I believe in you, and together we can. Bye for now.